Hello and welcome to an emergency edition of the Microbrew podcast. Milwaukee Brewers chatter from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and we have a trade. The Milwaukee Brewers have traded ace pitcher Freddy Peralta to the New York Mets. We have to discuss it right out of the gate. My name is JR Radcliffe. My colleague Curt Hogg from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. He is on the other line. It is late night in Milwaukee, and we are talking about the first big move of the offseason for the Milwaukee Brewers. Curt Hogg. It's Brandon Sproat, and it is Jett. Man, I'm already blanking. We just got there.
What are we doing here? What are we doing, JR?
I know his name is Jett because he's the second Jett to play for the Milwaukee Brewers in the last decade. I do find that quite significant. But it's Jett Williams is the specific Jett in question here, a 22-year-old infield/outfield prospect coming back to the Milwaukee Brewers in a deal for Freddy Peralta and Tobias Myers, two pitchers being sent to the Big Apple. Second time that the Brewers have made a deal involving one of their top players in the offseason to a New York franchise. It's the other one this time after trading Devin Williams to the Yankees last year. We have to discuss it, Curt, from all angles. How are you feeling, Curt? It's late. We had to slide this in. You just got off the phone with Matt Arnold. Two thoughts right off the bat. Just give me two thoughts, or two or three, whatever, right off the bat.
Two thoughts right off the bat. Okay. Number one is I like this deal for the Brewers. Actually, I like it for both sides. I like it for the Brewers. Number two is, wow, this played out almost exactly like you would have predicted.
Yeah.
In November.
It sure did. I mean, actually earlier, was that even Thursday or Wednesday? You heard some rumblings involving these exact names. You know, Jett Williams and Brandon Sproat were two players. Jonah Tong is a guy that has been kind of thrown around as a possible guy that would have been three. That would have been a huge package for Freddy Peralta. And as it stands, they get two, depending on who you ask, top 100 prospects in baseball, both Baseball America top 100 prospects. MLB Pipeline rates Jett Williams as the number 30 prospect in baseball. Baseball America is not as bullish on him. I believe he's in the 70s or the 80s. That's where Sproat is as well. So that's better than what they got for Corbin Burns, at least if we're looking at prospect lists and trusting those. It's better than what they got for Devin Williams. And theoretically, that's pretty solid for 1 year of Freddy Peralta. You're potentially getting, 12 years of two younger guys. So that makes sense. That fits what they do. I want to know more about these guys. We don't know a lot yet because this is just basically emerging, but we saw Brandon Sproat pitch a little bit at the big league level last year. Jett Williams has not made his big league debut yet. That's going to happen this year. Sproat pitched okay. His ERA wasn't good. His FIP was good. It was a very limited amount of work. I would say his numbers at AAA are not electric from 2025, but not bad. So give me a little bit on the little bit that you've learned on these guys thus far. Where will they fit and what are they getting?
I like how you immediately go to these guys who all the information I have on Jett Williams and Brandon Sproat right now, like 90% of it is priors.
Yes.
You are lucky because I happen to know a decent, like I'm familiar with these guys. Mm-hmm. If this was the Corbin Burns trade when we did our emergency pod and you throw me on the spot like this, Jerry, I wouldn't have known anything besides DL's left-handed and throws a fastball. That was at the time faster than it is now. Would be
well, how interesting, because we might be talking about Joey Ortiz on this very podcast, I have to say.
I mean, maybe. We think we got to see a lot from Jett Williams before you're willing to have that conversation. But Jett Williams, look, he's a Brewer. He's 5'7".
5'7", Curt.
Yeah, let me read to you a Matt Arnold quote from about 15 minutes ago in my life. I think he's a guy that's a gamer that's played everywhere. That's great. That fits our team. It fits Murph's style of player. He's a gamer. He's not that big, but he plays with a ton of heart. Oh. Let's play a game. Which Brewer am I talking about?
Curt.
There's about 9 guys that fit that description. They have a type, and Jett Williams is their type in that he's not as tall, but he is different. Like he, unlike the other smaller guys, legitimately packs punch. And I think the question isn't so much like, oh, is there any damage in the profile? It's like, is he going to be able to access it? which is not usually what you hear from a 5'7" fellow. Like Jose Altuve is the only other guy really, and he's a very, very. I don't know if you ever done a super deep dive into Altuve, but he's a super interesting hitter. Super interesting. Bad swing decisions. Doesn't hit the ball super hard, and yet is like going to be a Hall of Famer. Anyway, Jett Williams. I would think though, JR, you're right. We will see him at some point this year. We will definitely see Brandon Sproat at some point this year. He's on the 40-man. I would say if we don't see Jett Williams at some point this year, something has gone wrong, and you will be pestering me about how the Brewers keep getting bad returns in these trades, and you'll be mad about DL Hall and Joey Ortiz all over again. In fact, you'll probably just bring that up on this podcast because that is etched into the fabric of JR.
I absolutely am guilty as charged. I would say that why you probably see a better return here on the surface than what you got for Corbin Burnes is that Freddy Peralta was inexpensive. I mean, $8 million for a year. I mean, to me, it says the Brewers don't have to trade this guy, but he is coming off his best season, 2.70 ERA, one of the best pitchers available, theoretically available on the market. And I think they probably had a commodity to distill it down to that was even better than Corbin Burnes in terms of, what teams might be willing to give in return. Curt, just need them to stop trading for tiny people. I mean, like Jett Williams is a great hitter. You mentioned it. He's got pop. He could play shortstop. He played a lot of shortstop in the minors, a lot of center field in the minors. He's a third baseman sometimes. There's a lot of intrigue here and a lot of flexibility, which of course the Brewers love flexibility. I just like at some point it stops being a funny bit that they just go after guys who are 5 foot, 5'8", 5'7". Is it so wrong?
This isn't like this doesn't just happen by happenstance. Like this,
I know
this isn't just something that pops up.
No, I know they like small people. They like teeny tiny human beings. And I mean, I like them too. I have a million bobbleheads as we've discussed on these shelves.
How tall are you?
Curt, I'm taller than several Milwaukee Brewers, and that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm a short, relatively stout young man.
Is it a problem when they're all worth 2+ wins? Like, I don't see you complaining about third base situation anymore.
Well, that's true. Yeah, one has to admit they're teeny tiny humans, have played great baseball. I just wonder if at some point it would be nice to trade for somebody who is like, big and strong and can really mash. But like you said, Jett Williams can hit home runs. This isn't
okay, go get Kobe Mayo, JR. How would you feel about that now?
That is a very fair point. That is a player I desperately wanted from the Orioles in the Corbin Burnes deal.
That has worked out. Like Joey Ortiz has worked out better than Kobe Mayo would.
I have to reluctantly agree that you are right. I am wrong. I'm a terrible player evaluator. What do I know? This is maybe the new inefficiency in the market. Like nobody wants little people.
Short guys.
the Brewers have made a killing. Sal Frelick's good. Caleb Durbin's good. Joey Ortiz is good half the time, and we're definitely going to find out about Jett Williams. Brandon Sproat is a guy who's, I think, in the rotation to start the year. I mean, obviously Freddie leaving creates a vacancy, but there were a lot of guys.
Maybe. I mean, I would put him like right in very different pitcher than Logan Henderson. But I'd put them probably at about the same footing standing. There are definitely Brandon Sproat ingredients here that scream Milwaukee Brewers. It's going to be worth monitoring because last year, I think going into the offseason, he was probably, I don't remember exactly where he was ranked, but he was probably going into the offseason as one of the 6 to 8 best starting pitching prospects in baseball. Like he had more hype around his name than Miz. There was also some prospect fatigue, which is why you saw him like at 100 in some lists, maybe even off some lists. But Sproat was higher than him for sure. And there was less swing and miss this year. Not that he was throwing soft, but he wasn't throwing 100. So that could be a blip on the radar. Maybe the stuff just doesn't generate as much swing and miss. Which, look, that with the way the Brewers operate, it's not optimal, but it's not necessarily a problem either because his best pitch, if you look at his stuff grades besides the sweeper, it is the sinker.
Yeah.
I think there was like I always just read stuff about his fastball, his four seamer coming up, and it doesn't have great shape. It's hard, but doesn't have great shape, and it is coming from like a lower angle too. So I guess that helps. But there are ingredients here that scream Brewers pitcher. I'm interested to see how they refine his arsenal. I'm sure they will. He's got I think 5 pitches off the top of my head, and I'm sure he will use all 5. But they will also. I'm equally sure, Chair, that the Milwaukee Brewers and their pitching minds will tinker with that somewhat. But like if he's primarily sinker sweeper, they can turn that into a pretty good pitcher. I think it is in my mind. And you look, you brought this up too. You compare it right to DL Hall and Joey Ortiz and the Corbin Burns return. I like this return more because Brandon Sproat is a different. He's just a different pitcher than DL Hall, who was like really fastball heavy at that time.
Yeah, if you're looking at it from a pure WAR standpoint, I don't think we can say the Corbin Burns deal was objectively bad, because you were only going to have one more year of him. Look what he did in Baltimore. He was very successful for that 1 year. I think you're going to find that so far already you have matched that in terms of overall WAR based on what you've gotten from Joey Ortiz and DL Hall, which is value. And of course, at the same time, I would not mind if somebody said they were underwhelmed by that trade. Neither one of those guys is a superstar, and I think Joey Ortiz is the weak link in the lineup, at least offensively, and DL Hall is kind of a big question mark. So that probably didn't work out, and I could see why people are looking at this deal or any deal that involves a top player and think once again they have to move on a year early, or they feel they have to move on a year early because they're the Milwaukee Brewers and it's small market, bites of the apple, et cetera, and they once again get a little bit worse because presumably one of the best pitchers in baseball is not going to be in the rotation next year. And I wonder what you think of that, of these deals in general. I mean, I think we have talked ad nauseum about why that makes sense for this team, and it has been effective. Again, they keep winning more games than they did the year before. Their system has some success. Then you get to the playoffs and things change, but there's a sample issue. There's the issue of, like, was it really having to move on from these guys that caused them to bounce early? I mean, Freddy Peralta is not a guy who had looked super reliable in the postseason last year, as good as he was in the regular season. I mean, obviously that's just 15 innings, so I don't know what to say about that. But the idea that they quote unquote had to move on, I wonder if you feel like that's still true here, that because he was only going to make 8 million, that they could have theoretically said to themselves, you know what, we've always done this where we take a 3 to 4 win player and go backwards, because those guys that we get, there might be multiple chances at a 3 to 4 win player down the road. It could it could be anything. It could also be a boat. What about the idea of just once in a while keeping your 3 to 4 win player and having him be the guy that carries you through the season and maybe into the postseason?
Well, yeah, I don't think we've been saying this all offseason. They don't have to trade Freddy Peralta. But when you start looking at it more and more, JR, it was all the signs that the Brewers follow showed you they were going to try and trade him as long as someone was going to pony up, and the Mets ultimately ponied up. Here's something that I'm thinking about tonight as we talk about this trade. The one factor that in my mind made me think maybe the Mets won't go for Freddie is like a Stearns Arnold mind meld, right? And I think part of the reason they won't say this, but part of the reason the Brewers were comfortable trading Freddie is that he was a 2.7 ERA guy last year, 2.6 ERA, somewhere in there. But he wasn't really a 2.6 ERA guy.
Right.
His FIP was a point higher. I just pulled up this story I wrote at the end of his scoreless streak. It was 30 innings, an incredible streak, the best results of his career by far. And this whole story I wrote from Texas is digging into the streak and showing that really the process was no different during this streak than it was on average. And it just goes to show that, look, by any way you want to spin it, the numbers will tell you that Freddy Peralta got lucky last year. His non-competitive 2-strike miss rate was still
So frustrating.
far higher than you want it to be. His whiff rate has been going down perennially since 2020, I think it might have peaked at. So, look, it's a really, really good major league pitcher. But is it the 2.7 ERA guy? No. And the Brewers got closer. I think they got closer in the return to the 2.7 ERA guy than they did the 3.63 FIP guy or whatever his xERA. Whatever under the hood number. And the Corbin Burnes trade, I don't think they got as much for like the skill level, what all the other numbers said about Corbin Burnes, although he was starting to dip a little bit and then continue to dip more in Baltimore that year and some of like the whiff rate and stuff. So that's the other part of this too. Well, there's a lot of parts of it, but that's one of the parts that I think we do need to talk about.
Okay, well, I mean, we could talk about that. You did say that Freddie's whiff rate was down. He is still in franchise history most Ks per 9 of any pitcher in Brewers franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, he still struck out like 11 per 9 last year. So
yeah, still very good.
Yeah, the K rate's down like 28, 29. And there's a big difference between Freddy Peralta at 32, 33 K rate and Freddy Peralta at 28, 29. You didn't see it last year in the results. But I think if you watch pitch by pitch, game by game, like we do and a lot of our listeners do, it was like, wow, this is a great season from Freddie. But he didn't transform.
It was a great season from Freddie, but as we talked about on numerous occasions, and I don't know, I don't want to shortchange what he meant to this organization and how good he was, but like he was frustrating to watch. As good as those final numbers are, he couldn't get through 6 innings. He frequently had those meltdown innings where he wasn't able to locate on the 2-strike pitch, like you said, like the uncompetitive pitches with 2 strikes, I think ultimately was a problem. He did not do well in the playoffs. It's a short sample. He's had some good outings in the playoffs, but overall he hasn't performed well. And like I guess you kind of go through that season like, is this a house of cards? Like, is he gonna be okay in New York? Like he's not pitched for any other major league organizations. I don't get the sense that New York is a tremendous fit for him. I also, want to be careful because I think back to the Josh Hader thing, and part of that equation was Hader was kind of struggling that season at points, and maybe there was some whispering that maybe the Brewers know that this decline is for real, and he's they got to trade him now because there's no guarantee that he's going to be any good anymore. They have to move on, basically strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, I think there's more. I think that I would categorize that as more than whispers.
Yeah, for sure. But it was wrong because Josh Hader is still a very effective reliever.
Sure. But I mean, he was terrible for a month in San Diego, so they were they were right and wrong. He figured it out in the end and was dominant.
Yes, I guess that's true. I mean, San Diego maybe didn't get the best version of that year, but they did the next year because, again, Josh Hader was traded with that extra year of control available. And, there's been some injuries in there, too, that he didn't have with the Brewers. Like, they got the best out of him for sure. But he has still gone on to be a very effective pitcher. And I think Freddy Peralta will probably still be an effective pitcher. I don't think he falls off a cliff, but I also think that might have been his best season. I think when we look back, we're going to say this 2025 season was his peak. And so maybe they look okay that way. What is this rotation now? I mean, we've kind of visualized this scenario, so it's not very different from what we've thought.
It is Brandon Woodruff, and then maybe. Pick four. Is that a Wendy's thing? Pick 4? Applebee's?
I don't know.
It sounds like a fast food thing.
It does sound like a fast food thing. That feels like a lot of choices. I feel like it's always pick 2. I don't think in this economy people are allowed to pick 4.
Pick 3 is Chili's. I know that for dang sure.
Pick 4 is the Wisconsin lottery.
Okay. I do not know that. Fun fact about me, JR, I have never played the lottery.
I'll do it when it's like $3 billion or whatever those ridiculous pots are. Yeah, then I'll buy a ticket, but that's it.
Yeah. That feels super Lutheran of me. And I'm not Lutheran.
To abstain from playing the lottery?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, we were just talking about me going to Potawatomi, so I'm not sure that.
How is your furnace looking?
Dude, it is.
I guess it's working.
It's
It's about to
singing.
be cold.
Yeah, it's singing beautifully right now, but like the next 2 days in Wisconsin are like not generational cold, but we're talking about like some of the coldest days we've had in the last maybe 5-6 years here. So
Not generational, comma, like Joey Ortiz.
not generational like Joey Ortiz. What a beautiful transition, Curt.
Where were we? The rotation. I'm gonna go with Freddy.
You are not going with Freddy.
Woody.
Woody. Okay.
The Brewers are going to trade back for him. I'll go Woody. Miz is a lock. Priester is a lock. Chad Patrick, I think, earns it.
Love him.
And then I think they're going to what's not to love. And then I'll go Brandon Sproat.
I'm still thinking Logan Henderson's in there over Chad Patrick, but you know what? It's going to come down to which one of those guys is healthy. Chad Patrick was healthy all year. Logan Henderson was not. We'll see. I wonder, Curt, if there's ever a scenario you think where the Brewers finally just say to themselves, we need to keep this player because we actually could win the World Series. No. They did with you're talking about Willy Adames.
Look, I'm not gonna stand on a podium and shout the Brewers one time held onto their guy. Obviously, this is what they do. If there's a good player who has 1 year left before free agency, they're going to trade it. It's what they're going to do. We know that. To answer your question, no, JR, no.
You don't think they're ever going to be like, we're not going to play for the next World Series. We're playing for World Series in the future. Always.
Well, I mean, I don't think this move is them not. This is another thing we need to talk about. I don't think this move is them not playing for the World Series, right? So much baseball discourse is based in I view it as a very narrow, right, two-faceted this or that. I think that is what so much discourse is. Either you are trying and you are showing you are trying by acquiring players or spending money on players, or you are not. Now, granted, the easiest way to help your team out is to use your finances to acquire free agents. Point blank. You don't have to give anything up.
Notably, that's what the New York Mets will do and why they didn't need these guys who are very good and would have absolutely played for any team. But the Mets are like, it's fine. We're going to replace you with Bo Bichette. We don't need Jett Williams right now because we can just sign Bo Bichette.
Right. And even a team, for instance, the Cubs is much more along that style of thinking than obviously the Brewers are, where the Cubs, last year at this time, equal, if not better farm system than the Brewers. Now you look at it, the Brewers probably with Jett Williams and Brandon Sproat, that's probably like a top 2 at worst, top 3 at worst, maybe number 1 system in baseball, depending on your evaluation. And the Cubs, it's an okay system with a lot of younger guys at the big league level. And Matt Shaw, the Brewers would have made him a focal point of their building blocks in the future. And the Cubs are kind of like, yeah, we'll try to get him some playing time in the outfield now. So they operate differently. But look, the Brewers don't operate in the same plane as everybody else. You can be mad at all you want about them not spending money, but this is not that. This is them realizing in the context of we do not spend money that there is still arbitrage to be had in this market with 1 year left of these players. Like a little token. And I'm going to cash it in at Chuck E. Cheese for a prize, except the prize might actually be good. Now, it could end up being your standard Chuck E. Cheese prize. We have seen those trades in the past where the Brewers cash it in and they get like a Rubik's Cube or whatever, and then it breaks.
Yeah.
They've done that. But, maybe it ends up being maybe you can get a Game Boy Color. Or, I don't know. I feel like Game Boy Color. That'd be a cool prize to get, right? Do they make those? Nintendo Switch. That's the modern reference.
Do you remember how the Brewers acquired Jett Bandy?
Martin Maldonado trade.
Oh, excellent! I can't believe you thought that. I, for some reason, thought that maybe that was part of the Zach Greinke deal when he went to the Angels and Gene Segura
No.
came back. But no, you are correct. It's Martin Maldonado and Drew Gagnon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who I believe was a Brewers draft pick. Oh no, that makes sense. So Drew Gagnon went the other way with Martin Maldonado to the Anaheim Angels, Los Angeles Angels at the time for Jett Bandy. Brewers leading baseball in Jett acquisitions. Is Joey Ortiz on notice here? Because I think
he is no more and no less on. The answer is yes, but he's no more and no less on notice than he was to start the game. We knew where things stood with Joey Ortiz. He's going to be the shortstop. He's not on the thickest ice, but it's not exactly thin ice. But they're going to move on. They're going to move on from him pretty soon, probably, almost certainly.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to know where Jett Williams ends up. Like he could play center field. I mean, this team has an abundance of outfielders. It seems like every year, but he could do that.
I mean, that's another part of this. That's incredibly valuable if you have a guy that can play play shortstop in center field.
Yeah, and third base.
Third base. The Brewers have had one of those guys. He's in the Hall of Fame now.
That's true.
They also had Jonathan VR could do
it. That's the game. You're right. In terms of stolen bases, Jett Williams is going to steal some bases. He's got some good speed. He's kind of just a quality player across the board. He's or at least as ratings go, he's kind of got a little of everything without being a juggernaut in any one area. And I find him intriguing. He is 22. I do think if I had to guess, he starts at AAA and continues to bolster what is one of the best minor league systems in baseball. But he's gonna be here real quick. They're gonna find some space for him. Freddy Peralta. What do you think about when you think of Freddy Peralta? Because we talked about there's some frustration there, but also some really incredible individual performances.
I think ultimately you have to view it with a respect for what it was, and it's the second most strikeouts in franchise history. He's on the Mount Rushmore of right-handed starting pitchers in Brewers history.
I think he's third on strikeouts, but behind Gallardo and Sheets. I mean, these are the cream of the crop in strikeouts in terms of career.
Right. So the Mount Rushmore, right? Oh, the Mount Rushmore is a little trickier. The right-handers is a little trickier than Yeah.
Well, you've got a right-handed Mount Rushmore? Is that what you're talking about?
You can have as many Mount Rushmores as you want, baby.
That's true. It's a good way to get Higuera off of there.
You know what? I might take Freddy over Giovanni Gallardo.
Yeah, because obviously it's Woody Burns, Sheets, and then who's your fourth?
You could take Freddy over Burns.
You could take Freddy over Sheets.
See, it's you could get 5 different people together, and they would rank them completely differently. All 5 could have a different number 1. There is a legitimate case for all 5 of them.
I think of him. I mean, he's a 2-time All-Star. He has had some incredible individual games. No question, his debut comes to mind in 2018 when he struck out 13 batters and took a no-hitter into the 6th against Colorado. Very special moment with his family there, kind of by happenstance because they came to watch him pitch in Colorado Springs and he got called up. He obviously has a lot of bullpen work, which is kind of what makes some of those career numbers even more impressive. He wasn't always a starter. He came out of the bullpen at points, even in the playoffs. He's been part of 5 one-hitters in Brewers history. They've got a bunch of one-hitters in the last few years, and he has started 5 of those games, which is kind of wild, and obviously done the bulk of the work in those games. I don't think I can look at him and say I think he is Corbin Burns.
I might leave him off the Mount Rushmore. It's him or Corbin.
Okay. Corbin Burns to me was, again, gosh, when we talk about aces, it's like, I don't care. Do you have 5 good pitchers? Freddie never got there for me. It always felt like it could fall apart at any moment. I did not feel that way when I watched Corbin Burns pitch. I do not feel that way often when I watch Brandon Woodruff at his best, that it's going to fall apart at any moment. That's probably unfair. That's just kind of how I looked at it. He had so much movement, a little bit of a funky delivery, like so much going on that, to me, it felt like, oh, he was amazing. He just crushed 3 batters in the 3rd inning. I have no idea what's coming in the 4th. That's kind of how I operated with Freddy Peralta. So that's just from an anecdotal sort of viewer's perspective.
Yeah, you can't argue that, but boy, you are, the body is not dead.
Are you talking about my body? My body is
the,
definitely dead.
the body's not cold yet, JR.
No, you're right. That's mean.
The guy struck out 1,000 hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Was a critical member for 6 playoff teams? I don't even remember at this point. Pitched in some big games, not always great, but pitched in them.
And let's talk about surplus value. The man signed one of the friendliest team deals in history as it played out. He was first acquired for Adam Lind. Actually, I remember being upset about the trade at the time like an idiot. They got 3 19-year-old pitchers in return. 2 of them, never made it, but Freddy Peralta, basically a lottery ticket for Adam Lind. What a bargain. And then a guy who, again, signs that contract in 2020 to the point that he's still making $8 million 5 years later. I mean, that man deserves a bag for the sub-market pitching that he's provided the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah. And the $8 million salary, by the way, like the salary is a factor in them trading him, but not in a negative way.
No,
this enhances, like this makes if it was like 15 mil, honestly, I think the chance that they trade him is lower because the return just isn't going to be necessarily going to be the same. I think he gets a bag next year, maybe from the Mets. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
just like the Mets trading for him makes a lot of sense. I mean, Stearns is there. Also, one of their highest ranking execs, Eduardo Brizuela, who is under Stearns in Milwaukee. So no surprise. No surprise here. I think he fits in New York. I don't know what you're talking about here. I can see him. I can see Freddie as a Met. There are some teams that like the Padres where I couldn't see that.
Matt Arnold, of course, who worked under David Stearns. They conspire on this trade together. So that's a fun little side nugget. We know Freddie can pitch on that mound because opening day 2024, that's the game where Rhys Hoskins got into a fight with Jeff McNeil. Freddie Peralta started. That was one of the one-hitters. A tremendous performance. I think the Brewers allowed 2 over the minimum as a staff that day in beating the Mets on opening day in 2024. Great stuff. What else?
Did you see, JR, that they consummated the deal on David Stearns' anniversary?
That's some savagery right there by Matt Arnold. Matt Arnold's like, I'm sure he didn't say this, but like, I'm picturing him being like, "Oh, it's got to be today. Sorry, David. If you want the player, it's got to be today." That's because Matt Arnold knows when his anniversary is, right? Maybe not. I don't know when your anniversary is, so I guess I shouldn't say that.
Well, if you're deep in negotiations and they're like friends, that's gonna come up.
It probably
I'm supposed to be at dinner.
Yeah, that's real tough.
The Mets, by the way, come to Milwaukee July 20th through the 22nd.
Okay,
so be there. I don't care if you're there or not. Just so you know, JR.
You don't.
Yeah, you muted yourself like a dingbat.
I did not actually mute myself. My mic here has some issues, and occasionally will check out and leave me muted. That's not what happened.
JR, you asked me for my 2 reactions to this trade. What is your reaction to this trade? Like, what is your gut sitting alongside your Pepsi in that? Of yours. What is your reaction?
I do think this is a good deal for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm not jumping for joy because I just, I do believe what I say earlier. Like at some point it sure would be nice to go into season with all the great players that you got and stop trying to get better in 3 years and actually like go for it. Take a big swing. But I recognize why they don't do it and I understand why they can't. I also think this hits differently for Brewers fans and followers than it does maybe on the national level. I saw a lot of reaction where national guys maybe just couldn't figure out, like, again, why do the Brewers constantly do this?
How do we not know this by now?
Well, that's right. Like Brewers fans are so primed for this. We've been talking about, they're probably going to trade Freddie like all offseason, just like they traded Devin, just like they traded Corbin, just like they traded Josh Hader, just like they're going to trade William Contreras next season. National writers, listen to me right now. Get ready for that. They're going to do that too.
Get the tweet in your drafts. The Brewers have traded all-star catcher William Contreras to insert team here. Which team, JR? Which team?
I'm going to say Detroit. I'm going to go a little off the board. Let's see if
I'm going Red Sox.
Yeah.
Wilson will still be there. Detroit.
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Let's go.
You're a Dylan Dingler disrespecter.
I am of the belief that all catchers are just first baseman / DHs waiting to be assigned as such. So I don't believe in any current catcher can be moved at any point to another position. That's how I feel.
All right.
True though. Dylan Digler actually is one of the few catchers that probably stands in the way of that because he is very, very good defensively and is young enough. I don't know. I'm feeling that. We'll see. The Brewers are probably, I assume, not going to make any other deals here. Like this is it. This is the extent of it, maybe. But I'm not sure. What do you think? Where's your?
I would say they will remain open to a Trevor McGill deal.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
but that seems less likely, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get offered a whole lot for a relief pitcher who's already over 30 years old.
Of course, the Brewers are going to say yes to anything that the computer tells them, like, oh, yeah, this is an insane deal for. Like, they're going to do that. Any player. Jackson Chourio. Think about all the prospects you could get for that guy right now. That would be incredible.
You're a sick person. Not even I'm doing that.
I think they'll still add to this roster.
Oh, yes. I imagine they will. We talked about some of the names.
The thing that I personally like when I think about this process and in the way that the Brewers handle these things, I don't have a qualm with the way that they go about it. I think what would be nice though isn't even necessarily just like going out and splurging in free agency. Go get Luis Robert. Go pay for his 20 mil.
Which the Mets did instead.
It cost the Mets nothing.
It cost them, didn't they cost them a ton of money?
It cost them it cost them 20 mil.
Sure.
Which to them is nothing, and to the Brewers it's something. But that is the area where if I would say this is where there is room for you to operate more brashly than you do, because you're not giving up your prospects. If this is your thing where we hoard the prospects and we trust our pipeline and our development system and our player eval, and then we build it around these couple of long-term building blocks, maybe they'll extend another one and add to that group, but no guarantees at all there. Like, that would be where I would like to see them operate a little more aggressively. And there's not a lot of opportunities to get a Luis Robert like in a trade where you can get a guy who might be a really good player, but also costs a lot, and it costs you nothing in terms of prospect capital. That doesn't happen much, but yes, JR, it probably would be a nice olive branch to the fans of the Milwaukee Brewers who turned out in high support last summer. A lot of sellouts. Second half was sold out every single night. It would be a nice olive branch of just a little thank you. Instead of magnet schedules, instead of one person winning a car that they got to pay taxes on, give them a player.
Just get an outfielder. I will happily surrender.
There's like none left. Well, Harrison Bader, your boy. There's like none left now. So
yeah. Austin Hayes, one of the 10 names that we brought up last week.
Austin Hayes, yes.
Did you see that Josh Spores signed? He was not among our 10 names, but you mentioned him as like your next guy on the list. He got a job that is not Milwaukee. So our other 10 though, our guys are all out there. They're all out there.
And they will be.
They are not going anywhere soon. They're just chilling, waiting for the Brewers to come calling on February 1. February 1 is when business opens usually for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's very funny stuff. We'll have more at jsonline.com. You obviously have a whole thing on this trade. There will be some follow-ups, and I already wrote something about what Freddy Peralta meant to the Brewers in terms of like where he ranks in a lot of areas, and that's up at jsonline.com, or will be soon if it's not there now. So there's going to be more to say, and we're going to get to know a couple new young players, just like we do every season, coming in from a new organization. We'll see where this one goes. Curt, any last thoughts before us anyway?
No, I am just glad that it didn't. This late offseason nighttime weekday trade didn't happen while the Badgers are playing in Nebraska and blowing a 20-point lead.
Yes. Are you the women's team beat Nebraska tonight? The Wisconsin women's team. I don't know if you saw
Did
that.
they?
They did, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not bad. Nebraska's number 24 in the country. That's a good win for the upstart Wisconsin Badgers women's team. So
things are happening.
Things are happening. Things are happening. He is Curt Hogg. You can find everything he has at jsonline.com. My name is JR Radcliffe. I write a lot of stuff at jsonline.com too. Got these podcasts. There's a Bucks podcast out there, Point Forward podcast. If you watch the Bucks game tonight against Oklahoma City, didn't go well. If you want to revel in that, me and Jim Ozarski do that every week. Also, the Wisconsin Badgers podcast, known as Terrace View, discussing all things Wisconsin Badgers, basketball, football, women's basketball, hockey. That with Mark Stewart and John Steppe also comes out on a fairly regular basis, weekly basis at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Curt, thank you for joining me on this emergency edition of the Microbrew podcast. We will chat with you again very soon.